That Albany 316.
You damn right it's Albany 316, and you damn right this is the Hot Tag Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hot Tag Podcast. It's me, Shake, and my co-host, Teddy. Tonight we're going to be talking about the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time. Teddy's going to throw out a big list, and by the end of the show, we're going to narrow it down to 5 WrestleMania matches that we think are the biggest of all time. We're also going to talk about this past week's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, which admittedly both kind of hit. If you're watching this live, thanks you guys so much. We love you being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like the video as well. We appreciate you guys so much, and welcome to the Hot Tag Podcast. Teddy, how we doing?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling, Shake. I'm happy to be here. It's Saturday. There's nothing I'd rather be doing at this time than talking wrestling with you. So let's hit it off. So as you said earlier, we're discussing the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time. So let me break that down and just say what I mean by that, because I shot Shake a text message earlier today and said, hey, let's talk about the 5 biggest matches of all time. Now, distinction. We are not talking about the best wrestling matches of all time at WrestleMania. We're not talking about what was labeled as the biggest match of all time by WrestleMania. We are talking about what. Oh, and we're also not talking about what is considered the biggest match of all time after the match happened, because that is also subject to change based off how the match was. Sometimes the matches are considered biggest of all time, but they weren't going up into it, and they weren't during the match. It was just a great match, so now you're like, oh, that's a really good match in WrestleMania history. So the outcome changed the way you feel about it, but leading up to that, how's the crowd feeling? What were they thinking? Were people talking about it? Where everybody was like, oh, this is the world's gonna stop. I'm talking about matches where the world stopped, and that you can tell it by watching the crowd reactions during the match. You can tell it by the months. Like if you go back in time and watch the crowd reactions through the months and watch the highlight, the video package, you can tell how big and how important and how entertaining and like how involved the crowd was. So, without further ado, I think for a good, I'm going to say at least 5 on my list that everybody will agree with, and there may be 5 that everybody's like, I don't know. And like what I told Shake earlier was, some of these I wasn't alive for at that time, so it's like it's hard for me to really judge. And some matches may have got snubbed. I wasn't around to see what it was like and what the atmosphere was, but I'm going off of what I predict the atmosphere was like going around leading up to this match. So right now I'm going to read off a list of 10 that I have that are in no specific order. They're just matches that I came out with.
Okay.
First one I got is Hogan and Andre. No one will detest that.
Yep.
Second one, Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. I don't think anyone's going to detest that either, because unless maybe younger generations, but when you look at it at that time, the way that was built, how big, those were the 2 biggest guys in the company at that moment.
Yeah.
Like that was Austin and Rock before Austin and Rock.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And so the next match, I have Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan. I tried to do a lot of research on this to figure this out, but what I can say, this match must have been very big, because anyone who looked from this generation, when you hear them speak about John Cena or anything like that, a lot of the heels will go, I was trying to be the Randy Savage to Hulk Hogan for John Cena.
Right. Yes. And
so that must have been.
That's
that
what it
must have been a very big match.
Well, I mean, Seth Rollins, I think, talked about that when he was talking about his relationship with Roman. He's like, I feel like the best I could be is the Savage to his Hogan. I said there, I'm like, yo, I'm cool with Macho Man. Like, but yes, you're right. And that at that moment, everybody was clamoring for Hulk versus Randy Savage. And I think there was a lot of people, typically older and male, probably rooting for Randy Savage, and the women and the children were rooting for Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one. So now I got another big match. Hulk Hogan, who was on this list 4 times, like repeatedly. Hulk Hogan versus The Rock.
Yeah, 18.
That could arguably be number 1. How big that match was. Next match. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17.
Yep.
The world stopped.
That was, yes. It's unbelievable because you think about that match, just super quick. You think about that match, it's like, will we ever get there again? Can WWE build stars like in Austin or a Rock like they did then? Like that, they might have caught lightning in a bottle. It's hard to, but oh man, I don't know if that'll ever happen.
What I will say is, I think they almost did it twice, but here was the caveats to it. They almost did it twice with Batista and John Cena, but Batista was too old, so he only really had about 3 years of shelf. He had a solid 2 years where it was him or Cena until Cena surpassed him. And plus he was injury prone.
Yeah.
And then, and so like they waited too long to do Cena versus Batista. Had they done the latest they could have done Cena versus Batista, in my opinion, was WrestleMania 24. Was the absolute latest they could have done Cena versus Batista, where it would have been, and that was the absolute latest they could have done it, where it was ground shaking, worlds collide. These two people are you stop the world with these two going at it. I think was the latest they could have done it, but. To move on. So this next one, I don't know if I should defend it now. The next two, I don't know if I should defend them now or should I just leave them out and then defend. Like, we'll see. So my next one.
Let's just see what they are and see. Yeah.
Batista versus Triple H WrestleMania 21.
I don't remember that, so okay.
But it's the same. It's when Batista won the title for the first time, the reign of terror from Triple H. It was him and Cena were the last ones in the Royal Rumble. People say Batista and Daniel Bryan's are and I guess maybe Kofi Kingston are arguably the best storylines to like becoming first time champions. Like there's been no better ever like inaugural championship crowning in those stories. Possibly Stone Cold. But
Eddie Guerrero?
Huh?
Eddie Guerrero?
Oh, yeah. But Eddie's wasn't a WrestleMania. And it wasn't like a long thing.
Right. That's right.
Eddie's was like a spur of the moment. Holy shit, that just happened.
I still feel like that should have been at Mania. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. Next one. John Cena versus Triple H, WrestleMania 22.
Mm-hmm.
That was old school versus new school. I think it had just as much. It carried just as much weight as the year previously with Batista and John Cena. Batista and Triple H. So those are the two questionable ones where people may not put them on the list, but I think they belong there because I think worlds stopped at that moment. You had a lot of young kids like us rooting for John Cena, even though I was rooting for Triple H. You had a lot of old school guys rooting for Triple H, and then you had a lot of people rooting for Batista because he was the hottest thing in the company at that time, and he had Triple H's disgusting reign for so long. So those, and then like also just him and Evolution, the whole storyline was perfect. So those two are huge. After this, these are ones where I think we get into territory that are not questionable again. Taker and Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 26. Streak versus career after their huge match the year before. And also with just, they had such an amazing video package and the story was so great. So I think that was like world stop. End of an era. Triple H and Triple H, Hell in a Cell. End of an era. Just a great story coming off the coattails. It was the fourth edition to the story of Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Started with Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and then they concluded with Triple H and Undertaker. Undertaker says it all the time. He told a 4-year story in that span, and it was the concluding of it. So I think it was huge. I remember it. End of an era, Hell in a Cell. You just couldn't wait for the match to happen, and then they delivered tenfold in that match.
It was great.
I was gonna say, was it you who said you didn't like that match?
No, I did. I didn't think the match itself wasn't great because they were old, but like
I thought it was phenomenal, but I've also watched it live, and I haven't watched it since I watched it live.
Yeah, I think if you watch it back, there are going to be some things that you're like, oh.
Taker wasn't in the greatest shape there either. He was really skinny. I also remember that all I can think about was the ending on the ramp, and then that moment where everybody in the world thought the streak was over.
Yeah.
When Shawn hit the Sweet Chin Music and Triple H pedigreed him, I was like, and then he kicked out at the absolute last second.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
So here,
I think if I watched that live, I would have felt differently about it. But yeah, I also knew who was gonna win.
yeah, so it's different when you know who's gonna win.
Yeah.
And I think you were. It might have been at that time too, where you were just trying to get through the manias and watch and try to.
Yeah, I was.
Just,
I was. It wasn't even that I was just trying to get through it, but like it. After I said it, it's exactly because I knew Undertaker didn't lose the streak then. If I had watched that live, I would have been freaking the fuck out. You're right. And watching it back didn't do the moment justice at all.
That's what I said. Like, and all part of this was you can't go back and watch and like judge the matches based off what happened in the ring because some of those matches weren't the greatest, but they were just monumental. Yeah. That's why some matches are considered the best and some are considered the biggest.
Yeah.
At that moment. Next one, I said to myself, I never really thought of this as a big match, but I understand why. I wasn't really watching wrestling at this time, and I was never a John Cena guy. So to me, it wasn't big, but then I just realized that there's no fucking way this wasn't huge. WrestleMania 28, John Cena versus The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was huge. Kids, there's no way that this wasn't monumental to kids. And it was like, I do remember watching it, actually. I do remember watching it, this match, and being interesting. It was just like, The Rock better win. That's all I was thinking. It was like, The Rock better win. And then just being so hyped that he won.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, I think that match did a lot for, you said kids, but I think it did a lot for everybody. Because like you said, I think there was a lot of people, older fans, hoping that Cena would finally lose and The Rock would be the one to do it.
Yeah. All right, so Shake, what do you have? What do you want to add? Your list.
Honestly, the only thing I thought of that wasn't on your list was WrestleMania 22, the triple threat: Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, and Rey Mysterio.
I see why.
The ultimate underdog story, and the pay, like I said, the payoff was insane.
Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about this one specifically. I actually love that match, and that's one of my favorite matches on the card. I did not like Triple H and John Cena's match. I think it's not a good match. I think it's just there. I honestly don't think it's a good match. I was only hyped after I figured out who won. After the first time watching it, I was into it because I wanted Triple H to win. After that match, I could care two craps about that match.
Yeah.
But I can watch Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We called that match.
We did. We called the last 5 minutes of that match at WrestleMania Access. Yeah.
I think trying to because that was also my first WrestleMania, and that was my first WrestleMania I've ever watched live, and I remember I'm conscious of what was going on during that time.
Well, hey, hold on. Lola XD21 Pro. Thank you for the follow, baby. Appreciate you. You joined, to answer your question, what did you join into? You joined into a wonderful conversation about the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time. And this is the Hot Tag Podcast. Appreciate you. But yeah, we were talking about Rey Mysterio at 22.
Yeah, I think that match, here's what it is, Shake. For me at least, and from what I gathered, if you weren't an over Rey Mysterio fan, I don't think that match was that huge. I think it was a great match. I think it's more fun to look back on because of the outcome, and then because we label it as the biggest underdog story of all time. But I'll tell you what, going into that Mania, people were more talking about John Cena versus Triple H, and people were talking about Shawn Michaels versus Mr. McMahon. That's what people were talking about.
I know. I just like the Eddie Guerrero died. Rey Mysterio wins the Royal Rumble, and then he does the unthinkable and wins the World Heavyweight Championship as a cruiserweight. Like,
was it the best story on that card?
100%. That's why I put it on there.
But hands down was the best story on that card. But was it the biggest match? Ground shaking, people stopping. We're anticipating this match.
I don't remember 2003. Or no, 2005? 2006. Yeah.
2006.
I don't
I
remember
it very
2006
well.
that well.
And I had a friend who was a big Rey Mysterio fan, so he was hoping that Rey would win.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But people were like, John Cena, Triple H. And then at the big store was also Vincent Kennedy McMahon versus Shawn Michaels. Like those were huge matches. Listen. I'll put it on the list, but to me, it's like, like I said, Shake. I think the story was better. I think the payoff was better. I think the match was the best match on the card.
Yeah.
And it actually doesn't get the respect it deserves as the best match on the card either. People don't talk about it being a great match because it only went 9 minutes. It only went 9 minutes, but it was a thrilling 9 minutes.
What a 9 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. It was 9 minutes. We called 5 of them.
Yeah. So much happened. Ugh.
But the fact of the matter is, I just don't think it was that big at the time. It was big afterwards because what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember 2006 that well, like I said. But, like, other than that, I mean, I think those are the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time. And at this point, chat, if you have any suggestions, anything we missed while we're talking, throw it out there.
You know what I'm going to add out there?
Yeah.
If that's on there, there's another match that has to be on there, but I don't classify it as being on there. Here's why. If someone wanted to say, I would hear their argument out, but I would shoot it down. Because if someone said to me, WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan, excuse me.
Oh,
this is why I'm at.
Yeah, wait, no. You can't snub that.
This is why I'm going to snub it. That match was last. It wasn't a guarantee. We didn't know if we were getting that match or if we were getting Triple H versus Randy Orton versus Batista. He had to win his way into that match.
Well, no, yeah, I understand that.
He had to win his way into the match. It was the first match. We weren't sure what match we were getting by the end of the night.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Now, if we want to do a WrestleMania, the biggest moments in WrestleMania, that's on there. That's
Fair.
on there. But we're talking about what did I just say? Moments, yeah.
You said moments.
The biggest matches, like the most groundbreaking matches. That's on there for bigger. That match will be on there for biggest moments, along with Rey Mysterio, along with the one that everybody will forget because of the tragedy. But Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit's triple threat match, in my opinion, is the most heart-touching moment of all wrestling history. And the only reason it won't get recognized as that is because of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I agree. You know what's funny? That I picture, you know what my brain does? I picture everything of that scene. The confetti, I can see Eddie Guerrero, I can see them hugging, but my brain blocks out Chris Benoit. Like, I never remember who the other person is. Sad.
If you watch close that film, I've always noticed this. It's like, you ever notice, like, professional, like, actors do this. They're very emotional and affectionate with their friends, and even like, and then wrestlers is a mixture of sports and acting, so it's like they're very emotional too. Like, if you watch that scene, you said they hugged, but did you ever peep that they actually kissed too?
I did not see that. No.
Yeah, it's a quick unpeck on the like left, but I knew they were very close and like. They were very close and like brothers. Yeah.
Well,
so
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
like as a society, we think it's weird, but they were like, it was such an emotional moment for them that it was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've always kind of admired that like they didn't like, actors don't let, like society standards conflict them. Is it weird for some people? Yeah, but like the fact that they're okay with it is cool. I always liked that.
And you think about that. And you talk about the relationship between Chris and Eddie. And a big reason what happened to Chris and his family is because of Eddie Guerrero's untimely death and what that did to Chris Benoit. And that it's horrible, man. It's just it is truly one of the saddest stories in all of wrestling. And that includes Owen Hart. Like, that, it's 1A, 1B. Like, for tragic things to happen in wrestling, holy shit, man. Whew. Can't hear you.
that's part of why that moment was so monumental too, is because we knew their relationship. We knew where they
Yeah.
started and where they ended up together, and to both be holding that title was huge. But we'll do moment. We could do moments next week. Right now, let's talk about. Let's narrow it down to five. Actually, before we narrow it down to five, I want to say, are you kicking anything off my top 10?
Um, the only the only one I could like, I feel like there might have been one other one, but I could leave Warrior Hogan, which is so weird to say. I don't know. I guess the reason I say I could leave Warrior Hogan is because now, unless you're a big wrestling fan, you don't talk about that match. It just.
Yeah, well, I think, well,
But when you brought it up tonight, that is the first time I've heard of Hogan Warrior in years. But I hear about Andre versus Hulk. You know what I mean. So that's the reason I would leave that.
that's a great point, Shake. And I'm trying to figure out why you don't, because like if you like, so here's and this is what the counter argument is just like listen to any wrestling fan talk about it, especially the ones who lived through it.
Right.
You all know, like I said, like Hogan Warrior, I mean, was rocking Stone Cold before rocking Stone Cold. It was such a big match. It was huge. You know, Warrior was so over, and Hogan had been over for God knows how long. And it was just like that match was monumental. Was it a good match? No, even it was not a good match. But I was talking to Zach about that match. And he goes, "Yeah, it was a good match." He goes, "But just the moment." He's like, "Warrior was so over, and it was Hogan." He's like, "When you're this is the difference. This is the level Hulk Hogan was on. You say Warrior was so over at that point. You don't even need to say Hogan was over at that time.
No, because he's Hulk Hogan.
There was never been a moment in history where Hogan was not over.
Yeah, even at his literal lowest moments, he was still the Hulkster.
Hogan might be the biggest wrestling star of all time.
I don't think you can really argue that either. I mean, it's the biggest period, I guess you could argue, but one of? No way, man.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was saying I think he might possibly be the biggest of all time.
Because you think about it, if there's no Hulk Hogan, we don't have a podcast about pro wrestling. We don't.
No, you're right.
We don't. Right.
That man has the most WrestleMania main events of all time.
It's insane. And you know what, Teddy? How many matches themselves inside the ring were bangers? Not that many.
Even his match with Andre sucked.
Because Andre was just a giant. Andre did 3 moves, Hulk did 4.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. You know what's funny? That's why people, I don't know, I specifically remember the day John Cena debuted the STFU, and it's because he didn't do many moves.
Yes. Well, that's the thing about Cena. What do they call it? The 5 moves of doom?
5 moves of doom?
Yeah.
Batista wasn't any much better.
No.
Clothesline, spear, spinebuster.
Powerbomb.
Punch to the face. Batista bomb, yeah. He started adding more moves. He probably has 10 moves, that's it. Batista at max, if 10. He had one where he put you on his shoulder like that and then did the forward roll.
Oh, yeah. He stopped doing that after a while.
Huh?
Didn't he stop doing that?
Probably because it's like it can't feel good.
No, I imagine not.
But I think he started doing that later. After 2007. But all right, Shake. Let's do it. Let's get the list of 5. I'm gonna give you my list of 5, then you give me your list of 5.
Okay.
And then we'll figure it out. My top 5. I'm gonna go with the number 1 match, ground shaking, world stopped and froze for a second. Match of all time being Stone Cold versus The Rock 17. All right. Number 2, Hogan, Rock 18. 3, three, Hogan, Warrior.
Oh, wow. Hogan Warrior 3? That ain't even in my 5, baby. Damn.
Well, that's why we're gonna debate. 4, Taker, Shawn. 5, Taker, Hunter.
Damn.
Boom.
That's solid. Low key, don't know anything about WWE. Hey, appreciate you hanging out anyway.
Fan from your gaming channel?
Oh, that was on my Twitch, yeah.
Oh.
So we think about it, right? I'm gonna go 5-1. Okay. Hold on, I gotta make sure I have 5 because I only went through I think 3 or 4 while you were talking because I got distracted. So I got. Well, damn. I guess no.
I mean, it makes our jobs easier if they are the same. You don't have to make 5 different ones.
No, hold on, because I have different ones. Okay. Here we go. Coming in at number 5, The Rock versus John Cena. I think this is such a blend of generations in The Rock bringing back the Attitude Era fans, and then John Cena having the generation not of only Ruthless Aggression fans, but all the PG era kids behind him, and then those kids still liking The Rock too because he's The Rock. I think
That's fair.
That was just such a monumental moment in WWE that everybody was clamoring for multitude of different reasons.
That was also a very good story. I wasn't going to argue on that one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I debated on whether it just barely didn't make my list, my top 5. It just barely, and it's even to the point where it could change. I see this making our combined top 5.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I had Rock Cena at 5. At number 4, I think I have to go with The Rock versus Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no. I have 3 spots left.
Well, after this match, you have 3.
Right.
You have 4 right now. So it's number 4, Hogan versus Rock?
No, I don't know. That might be higher. That might be 3.
Okay.
It's definitely not top 2. No.
Really?
No, it is not number 4. It is not number 4. Number 4 is Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
WrestleMania 26. Okay. 3 is Hogan versus Rock. 2 is Andre versus Hulk. And number 1 is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17. The Rock was in 4 out of my 5. 3 out of my 5. Sorry.
And if he wrestles Roman this year, it's going to be huge. He's going to be on a list again.
He'll be on 4 out of the 5. And that's a sad thing to mention is that Roman Reigns cannot be considered on this list, and he's the greatest superstar of his generation.
Well, he hasn't had. He just now became it. He hasn't had the chance to clash with anybody. To make this list, Rock couldn't have done it himself. He had to have a counterpart. He had to have an Austin. He had to have a Hogan come back.
Oh yeah, because Roman didn't have Brock Lesnar or The Undertaker or anything.
Well, yeah. Well, listen here.
Make excuses. Go ahead.
Undertaker was old and washed up.
He shouldn't have been wrestling.
And we had seen. Let me talk to you.
Hey, all I'm saying is The Rock got Hogan through that match is all I'm going to say.
What I will say is the reason why is Roman versus Brock would have been on this list if we hadn't seen it twice that year already.
I agree. If we hadn't seen it 4 times prior at WrestleMania, you know what I mean?
Say again?
If we hadn't seen it at other WrestleManias prior as well, if this had been their first WrestleMania match, it would have been insane.
But I mean, just take that out of context. That's very true. But the odds of that happening are very slim. But the fact that if you were saved, because look at the story behind it. Paul Heyman was a Brock Lesnar guy. Brock Lesnar comes back. Oh shit! Where's Paul's allegiance? Holy shit! Roman is on top right now. He's hot, and now Brock is back. Oh my god! And Brock was hot when he came back. That would have been. I was so pumped for the first match, and I was like, they should have waited. They should have waited. Instead, we got it twice. Instead, we've seen it twice before WrestleMania. Who's going to be excited about it for the 7th time? They blew that on themselves. But, okay, and then your first match is...
Rock,
I think
Austin.
Roman will get there. Yeah, I think... wait, what was your first... Oh, Austin and Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm not taking shots at Roman Reigns. If anything, that's a shot at Vince McMahon, because you're right. Brock versus Roman... should have been bigger than it was. It was billed like it was supposed to be, but I genuinely don't know anybody that was really, really amped up. Everything I saw on the internet was to what you said. I wish we hadn't seen it already.
Yeah.
And then, how they did it, right? Roman beat Brock, and then all of a sudden Brock randomly comes back. That felt very forced. When Brock came back after Roman, look, we didn't say this on the show. This was before the show we were talking. If we did not go to WrestleMania 38, we would not have cared about Brock versus Roman. It would have been cool to watch, but we wouldn't have been amped up about it. Teddy made a point. We bought cowboy hats to wear them to WrestleMania to root for Brock Lesnar so we would be excited. That's what actually happened.
We did everything to get excited. We even talked about drawing bets. So
Yes,
on the line so that we would feel more entertained in the match.
We did.
We wanted to feel like children in for the moment. So we said, let's get the hats. We're all going to root for Brock. We put some money on this. So we actually do something so we can feel like children again.
Yeah, it was great.
It's you know what it felt like? It felt like The Rock fell through, so we got Brock instead.
Well, that did seem to be... Maybe that was part of it. It was not even the lack of build-up, and maybe that's why it was forced, because they couldn't get The Rock. But maybe that's what added to it, not the fact that we had seen it already, but the fact that we were so disappointed we weren't getting The Rock. We were coping.
Yeah.
We were coping.
Why. We were faking it till you make it. We put a smile on our face and said,
I bought a Brock Lesnar t-shirt. I was all in, man.
Yeah, yes, we were. All right, so let's talk about this list here. So we both had Stone Cold versus The Rock 17.
Yep.
As our number ones, and I think part of me, that's obviously arguable, and I think that's just going to be because of generation.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, and we might be robbing the older generation, but it is what it is. Um, there's only the two spots in history where wrestling was the most over was in the '80s, and then in the late '90s, where it was the most over.
Yeah.
Um, so Stone Cold versus The Rock, number one. Number two, you had Hogan and Andre. I had Hogan and Rock. Hogan. Hogan's on this list at number two somewhere. Um, reason why Hogan and Andre didn't make my list. We remember that match because of the slam. I also think, and the reason why I'm adhering to this, I'm listening, is like, they did build it as the irresistible force versus the immovable object.
That's what I was going to say.
Hogan was big, and I think Andre was big, but Andre was also, I don't think he was as big as he had been. I think, as we hear, Andre was on his way out the door. He was in a lot of pain. I don't know if he was as big as he was. At that, I don't think Andre was as big as he was at that moment, and I think this match would have been bigger had it taken place earlier. I don't know. I wasn't alive at the time, but based off what I've heard, was it big? Yeah, but we don't talk about the build up to this match. We don't talk about the crowd going wild. The only time we think about the crowd going wild is when he slammed him. Well, we talk about Andre slamming. We talk about Hogan slamming Andre.
And Andre never lost either. Like, ever. He would never let anybody beat him. Ever.
I think so. Was he undefeated at that moment?
I believe he might have. He might have been undefeated.
Maybe he was.
I think he was. And that's why it was such a big deal. Other than the fact that he was massive.
So make your argument, and then I'll make my argument for Hogan versus Rock.
The reason I have it at number 2 is because I think it is the single most seminal match in professional wrestling history. And I said it, if that match doesn't happen, that we're not doing this show. And I think the build up of it was exactly what you said, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. And I'd have to look it up, but I do believe Andre was undefeated at the time. No one in damn hell picked him up ever, but it was like a known thing that Andre wouldn't lose because of his character.
I do know that he would lose. That actually wasn't the first time he was slammed. Hogan slammed him before that, and then so did Arn Anderson.
But Arn Anderson did too? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Obviously, because it didn't happen at WrestleMania, it didn't happen. As you know, just like
I just said that to somebody else.
The ladder,
yeah,
only happened at WrestleMania,
not SummerSlam.
Beforehand.
Didn't happen at SummerSlam.
Not once on Raw, not once at SummerSlam.
I said that to somebody at the show I was at. They were like, do you remember that spear Edge gave Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania? I was like, do you remember when it happened at SummerSlam and on Monday Night Raw? He said no, and I said, that's kind of my point. He goes, what do you mean? I said, if it's not Mania, it doesn't matter. He goes, wow, I didn't know it happened two times before that. I was like, yeah, nobody else does either, unless you're a big wrestling fan.
If you go back to a one of the 90s Raw intro videos, him getting speared on Raw is part of the video package.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know which video package I was watching, but you could see Edge spearing Jeff off the ladder.
That's hilarious.
On a Raw.
But, yeah,
so that's your argument. Yeah. That's a solid argument. Here's my argument for Rock Hogan. Hulk Hogan had made his illustrious return back to wrestling, to WWE. The Rock was red hot off of WrestleMania 17 going into WrestleMania 28. He was robbed. He was so over as a babyface, it wasn't even funny because he was done wrong. And then he led WWE to a victory over the Invasion Force, over Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was the hero for WWF, not Austin. He was the hero. Red hot. Every person in that arena watching that match, giving up to match, grew up watching Hogan. Yeah. And now, they all love the Great One. There wasn't a time, I don't think there's ever been a time, possibly just Stone Cold and Rock, possibly the only time, where you were as torn. Yes, I will say there's never been a time where you were as torn on who to root for. It was WrestleMania 17 was simple. You're either an Austin guy, tribalism set into effect. You're either an Austin guy or you're a Rock guy. WrestleMania 18, who do you root for? I'm both guys. I grew up with this guy, but I love this guy. This guy's my guy now. It's like the guy. It's like when you have a dad and a stepdad. Your stepdad's the best guy since sliced bread, but your dad is your dad. You love him. He's been great there. He wasn't mean to you. He was just been great. They didn't work out, so you love both. It's like what do you do? And then they were forced to choose. And the best thing about this build-up was huge. Not only were they forced to choose, they chose mid-match. They flip-flopped through the match and then chose at the very end who they wanted.
Yeah.
And this crowd, I have never in my life seen a more electric crowd in any match. Like I get goosebumps watching that match over and over because the crowd was so into it more than I've ever seen them in any match. More than I've seen them in any match. And it was like, this match was like, it was just like, it's like I said, who do you like more? It was mom and dad. It was mom and dad. And then at the last minute, you were like, mom makes me pancakes. But stuff like that. It was like that. It's like,
and then 3 minutes later, you said, "Oh, it's okay. I love them both."
It's like they were so. The world literally stopped and was like, where do I go? It was like a custody battle. It was like a custody battle. You're like, where do I go? Where do I go? I love you both. Oh, he's hulking up. Fuck you, Rock. Fuck you. He's hulking up. Yeah. It's just like when I was a kid. And then after the match, you're like, oh, I didn't mean that, Rock. I didn't mean that.
It's not personal, man. It's just Hulk Hogan.
He was hulking up. So
they did the thing.
Yeah. So that's why I put it at 2 because, and it honestly, the way I just sold it, it could be 1. It could be 1, but the Rock and Stone Cold was literally tribalism at its best that you'll ever get it.
I don't think there'll be a bigger match than that possibly in the history of pro wrestling, and I don't think it's number 1 and number 2 is not close.
Yeah, like, I don't know. For me, it's close.
I don't think so. I just don't think we'll ever be close to that level again. Do I think we could hit Hogan Andre again? Yeah, I really do. If we get Roman versus Rock, that'll be on par with that. That'll
be on par with Hogan and Rock too. Yeah, like I said, that'll be a match where it's like, we love the tribal chief, and then as soon as the Rock goes to the people's elbow, you're like,
oh yeah, no, yeah. It's
like, that's my guy. So,
I mean, everything you just said about that match is the exact reason I have it at number 3. You're right. Everything you said is true, but I can't put it above Hulk versus Andre simply for the fact that, I mean, the build-up had to be huge. If WrestleMania 3 doesn't sell as well as it does, and people aren't rooting for the Superman of Hulk Hogan to beat this guy who almost never loses and who can never be picked up, almost never be picked up, and it was just such a build-up. And
this will be the deciding factor.
It was I guess it also has the benefit of being the first.
Will we let this be the deciding factor? Because these are 2 and 3, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
If Andre was undefeated at this moment, I will say yes, it was 2. But if he wasn't undefeated at this moment, can we put it at 3?
Was that WrestleMania 3? Right?
Yeah. Well, should we agree on it first? Because I don't know. Will you think that's fair?
Yeah.
I was about to look it up. It's like, then I see your argument.
Conversation. Alex and Hugo's intro. Okay. References WWF WrestleMania 3's main event of Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from 1987. Andre had a 15-year undefeated streak. 15-year undefeated streak beaten by Hulk Hogan. Come on.
That is. Let's see here.
Then I think the only reason it's
I-
not number one is because I wasn't around for it. If I was alive and watching WrestleMania 3, I think it would be number one for me, if I'm going to be honest. But I wasn't, and I watched Rock versus Austin. Like, okay, watching Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from when we were kids, like, that was nothing. Like, if we watched that as kids, we would have thought that was horrible. We would have been like, wow, that sucked. I never want to watch that ever again. But, like, now that I'm older, I can appreciate everything about wrestling and everything that match was. But, yeah, I think that's also why I put it number 2 instead of number 1, because I think time has only made wrestling better, obviously. But what are you looking up right now?
I was looking at because like I feel like it's not clear that if he was undefeated at that moment, but at least if it was built that he was, then yes, I'll put it at number 2. I feel like because I was looking because I haven't seen that yet. I was like, because I thought I know he was undefeated, but I felt like it was one of those he was undefeated, but he wasn't really undefeated. You know what I was saying?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
But all right, Andre. I'll concede on this one. Andre
Hulk, number 2, baby. And number 3, Hulk versus The Rock. Are both of our number 4?
My number, I think.
Did we both have Taker and Shawn?
Taker and Shawn.
Yeah. In 5, I had Rock versus Cena, and you had Hunter versus Taker. Which, like, I could go either way on both of them. Like, I think they were on the same level, to be completely honest with you.
I'm going to go Rock versus Cena.
For 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was on the level of, like, the one-on-one generational superstar versus generational superstar. Not that that's not what Hunter versus Taker was, but that was also, like, a sequel and, like you said, a 4-year story. So I feel like that affects it because it was like, I don't know. It's weird. That's very weird. The more I, like, try to argue against it, I talk myself into it.
Well, I had told you previously that it was close for me.
Yeah.
And then as I thought about it, it just made more sense to me. Like,
yeah.
Cena, this was built like it was Cena versus The Rock, and like, I don't know, Cena versus The Rock.
I know, right?
It was this generation's top star versus the previous generation's top star.
Yeah.
So
it's hard. It's hard.
Which we possibly could be getting a John Cena versus Stone Cold match. Probably not. I actually don't want to see that, but I know you do.
I would be okay with it.
I'm still stuck on this. It doesn't matter. They're both on the list. As I said, I'm still stuck on this Andre and Hogan match. Because that wasn't even on my top 5. I
don't get how that's not in your top 5.
Because to me, it was the moment. It's a moment match instead of a match.
I mean, I guess.
To me, it's a moment.
I mean,
like, part of WrestleMania, like, was the moment that led, like, remember, we can never forget, Vince McMahon says it, Triple H says it, wrestling's about moments. Storytelling.
Right.
And so it wasn't the match, it was the moment that led to everything that you're talking about, us having this podcast.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's referenced as a slam heard around the world.
Yeah. So, like, to me, like, if we had our top list of 5, like, for the best moments in WrestleMania, which we're probably going to do next week, but I can shout them off right now. At least what I'm saying is, Eddie and Chris Benoit celebrating at WrestleMania 20.
If you leave one off, I'm going to be very mad at you. But go ahead.
I am not going to leave it off. I'm debating on whether it's 2 or 3. For me personally, it's 2. It's Rey Mysterio winning at WrestleMania 22.
That's
Then
not the
Daniel
one I was
Bryan,
talking about, but yes.
Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30, number 3. Hogan slamming Andre is 4, and
Come on. Dude.
Stone Cold Steve Austin having blood drip down his face as he's in the sharpshooter at WrestleMania 13.
Wow. You son of a bitch.
What would I leave off?
The heist of the century! Seth freaking Rollins with the greatest Money in the Bank cash-in of all time. Stole the moment.
Seth Rollins, the heist of the century. Actually, for me, I'd put that on there over Ray winning, to be honest with you.
Okay, so now, let's save this for next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
God.
All right, that's our list.
Definitively, the list from 1 to 5, we got what?
So the joint list between the two of us, I'm going to read off the joint list. The joint list is Stone Cold versus The Rock, number 1. Andre versus Hogan, number 2. Hogan versus The Rock, 3. Taker versus Shawn, 4. Rock versus Cena, 5. And to add context to that, Stone Cold versus The Rock at 17 is 1. And Hogan versus The Rock at 18, which was, at duh.
Yeah.
And then Taker versus Shawn at 26.
Not 25.
Career versus streak. Yes, career versus streak. These are the biggest matches of all time. Groundbreaking, earth-shattering. Time froze. People were divided. They didn't know who to root for. They didn't know what they want. Crowd was into it like no other. People were torn. I mean, there was more fighting over this than between your liberal nephew and your conservative uncle at the dinner table.
Yikes.
There's more fighting about that than this. You know that. All right, and then if we're gonna break it down to Shake's list, his top 5, the ones that we didn't combine was Austin versus Rock, 17. Hogan versus Andre, 2. Hogan versus Rock, 3. Taker versus Shawn. Wait a second. Taker versus Shawn, 4. Rock versus John Cena, 5. Your list was our final list. That's it. I started to count. I go, wait a second.
What can I say, Teddy? What can I say? I am a master debater.
I see what you did there. Well, because to keep peace, I still don't feel comfortable on the number 2, but to keep peace, I added that in there, and because I made a deal that I lost. So, my list was number 1, Stone Cold versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17. Number 2, Hogan versus The Rock, WrestleMania 18. Number 3, Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 8.
I thought that was 6.
Number 4, Taker versus Shawn, WrestleMania 26. 5, Taker versus Triple H, WrestleMania 28. But I actually will take out Taker versus Hunter, or Triple H at WrestleMania 28, and put my number 5 as Rock versus Cena.
Yeah, so the only thing you had that I didn't was Warrior.
Yeah, and the only thing you had that I didn't was Hogan and Andre.
Yeah. So, and yeah. And I think Warrior Hogan was 6, right? 4? No, it wasn't 4. Oh.
On what? I thought it was 8. I could be wrong.
Oh.
Hey, Google. At what WrestleMania did Hulk Hogan versus The Ultimate Warrior?
According to Wikipedia.org, a promotional poster for WrestleMania V featuring The Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. Do you want a little more?
WrestleMania V? What? Oh, well, that was 2 different answers.
I thought it said 8.
Banned. I'm banning you for what? Damn it, what are they doing? Shit. Soliciting? No. scam. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, it looks like it was WrestleMania 6.
That's what I thought. Because I thought Kevin Owens made a t-shirt based off of that.
Oh, there you go. All right, so that's our list, guys. If you have anything different, if you have a list, put it in the comments. Let's compare. Let's compare and contrast. Again, the rules of it are the biggest match of all time, not what was labeled as the biggest match of all time, because WWE likes to change history. We're talking about world stopped, earth shattering, glass breaking, divided as a nation on who we wanted to win. People could not stop talking about this match and could not wait for this match. What was your top 5? All right, let's move on to what happened this week on SmackDown and Raw. Shake, you watched Raw, I watched SmackDown. Let's talk about it.
Monday Night Raw was a pretty good show. I mentioned to you, yes, I was at the show in Albany, New York, Monday Night Raw. No, I was not completely satisfied as a viewer. Was it a bad show? No. But I didn't get to see Seth Rollins in person. And Becky Lynch returned 3 days later on SmackDown. And then this past Monday, she was in the crowd chopping it up with Bob. I wanted to be Bob so bad. And I know there's a lot of men and a lot of women and a lot of people who otherwise identify that are in the same shoes as me that think that Bob should have been them and wish that Becky Lynch put her arm around them. Because I sat there and thought, damn, Bobby, you better appreciate this for everything it is, man. Because that's the man right next to you. And she's cutting a promo and is involving you. Don't underappreciate that moment. My man had his phone out. He recorded it. He was ready. He gained so many followers on Twitter. I follow him now on Twitter. Great guy. Love Bob. But anyway, that's how the show started. Becky Lynch cut a promo. She was eventually interrupted by Bayley. This is the only 4 horsewomen.
Wait.
What?
Can I interrupt you for a second? I love the way, what? Yeah, I was on a grind.
I was in there.
I feel your pain, and I just wanted to relate to your pain for a second, not to take away from your pain. But I know your pain. Becky's a Raw superstar, and she showed up on SmackDown. You went to Raw, and she showed up on SmackDown. I showed up to WrestleMania 35 expecting to see The Undertaker, and he wasn't there. He showed up the very next night on Raw.
I would have been livid. I mean, the difference is I only spent like $50. You spent much more than that, so that is far worse. But no, it sucks. It sucks when you wanna.
Yes.
And the worst part was I did it to myself. There was no confirmation of Becky gonna be there. It's something I led myself to, and I was only fucking 3 days off on it, so that's pretty good. And I knew she was gonna be the 5th member, and everybody online thought it was gonna be Gargano's friggin' wife. I can't even remember her name, the Poison Pixie. Yes. Everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be her. It's gonna be her. Oh my God. No. It's gonna be the man because they took her ass out 3 months ago because she got injured against Bianca and that's why she left. Actually. But, like, hello, nobody else drew those connections? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see, like, I saw like 2 people when I was around Twitter, like, looking at stuff that also said Becky Lynch as the 5th member. I'm like, are you guys nuts? That made the most sense to me. Anyway, Bayley interrupts Becky Lynch's promo. And then, you know, Becky's in the stands. And then Damage Control comes behind her. And she starts fighting Io and Dakota. And then they spill out into the concourse area. And they start fighting at the merch table. And start throwing merch at each other. It was weird. It was funny. It was cool. So that's how the show started. And then Rhea Ripley and Mia Yim had a match that Dominic Mysterio got involved in. So that's going to continue to be a thing between Rhea and Mia.
Did you see Dominic's response to I sent it to you, why he attacked Ray?
Yes.
It was, I wonder if that was really his comment. I think it was during an interview, right?
I don't know what, I didn't see the actual interview. I just saw the quote.
It was hilarious to me. Why did you attack him? Because he had his Christmas tree up, and it was nowhere near December.
Yeah,
because November wasn't even over when
yeah.
he had his Christmas tree up. That to me is like, a feeling we all feel, and he just called it out.
That's one thing I do want to say, that I have been enjoying Dominic Mysterio a lot more, and it is because I am seeing less of him in the ring. He's not very good. He's not awful, but he's not very good in the ring. I think he's entertaining as this like little scrawny weasel of the Judgment Day, and I think that's where he fits best. And I think him trying to act tough is very stupid. But this Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley match turned into an 8-person mixed tag match between the OC and the Judgment Day, which was weird.
I heard that.
Yeah, it was weird. It was cool to watch. And Rhea Ripley ended up winning. So Judgment Day comes out on top. But they made an interesting comment at the end of the match where they said, I don't think this is far from over between the Judgment Day and the OC. And don't know that I feel too great about that. I'm kind of over the Judgment Day and the OC. I think the OC's getting, I don't even want to say stale because they haven't been on TV a lot. But I don't like what they're doing with the Judgment Day too much right now. And I think that's more to do with the fact that besides Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, the Judgment Day is not good. It's just not. I think if you...
So Dominic
and Damian
Priest
are not good. Like, I thought Damian Priest at one point was.
A couple people say it. Go ahead.
Damian Priest at one point I thought he was very good, but like he's another one that doesn't make me feel anything when he talks. Like he's like, "You will rise for the Judgment Day," and I'm just sitting there like. He barely even gets booed when he does that anymore. Nobody cares. So Dominic is getting pops because he's doing a really good job on the mic right now, and he's going after Ray, going after Eddie and stuff like that, and it's great. He's doing a really good job. Damien is doing nothing. He's supposed to be like the male muscle. He's not even the muscle of his own group, and he is damn near 7 fucking feet tall. Everyone's afraid of Rhea. We haven't talked about Damian Priest in over a month, and he's a near 7 foot tall, former United States, former NXT champion. What the hell? We gotta ask what's going on with Damian Priest right now. What the hell? He's horrible. And it's awful to say. I'd rather see Dominic Mysterio on TV than Damian Priest. That's horrible.
He's just there.
It's so bad.
He's Jimmy Uso.
Yes. He is Jimmy Uso. He is very much there.
We've all cleared that Jimmy Uso is Jey Uso's tag team partner.
Yes, he is.
I've heard rumors, and it seems like, I don't know, but they are going to do an AJ versus Finn Balor match at WrestleMania.
I'm here for it.
That might be the big... Yeah, a lot of us are here for it. I think that'll be the big concluding. Rumor is that Rhea Ripley will face Bianca Belair.
Yeah, they planted seeds before War Games, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot. WrestleMania, there's a lot circling for WrestleMania right now. And then there's also rumors, not to get off the Raw ban, but that Roman's pulling double duty.
Yeah, so we can talk about that. Yeah, we can talk about that. There's a lot of rumors about Roman Reigns in WrestleMania right now. There's a couple.
Yeah, I had said, oh my God, if Roman did this, he'd be setting history again, the first guy to ever do it. I go, well, that's a lie. But he actually would be. I was going to say, Brett did it. Brett wrestled twice at WrestleMania. He's the only person I know who wrestled twice in one night.
But who's main evented 2 WrestleManias in the same weekend?
Yeah, so Roman will be the first person to main event WrestleMania twice in the same weekend.
Yeah, but the other thing I've heard is that Roman drops a title on night 1 and a title on night 2. But in my mind, there's no way in hell they would do that. Talk about the ultimate decimation of Roman Reigns. Hey, night 1 you're going to lose. Night 2, you're going to lose again. and you're just going to be nothing. And we're just going to take everything away from you, and you're going to go away. Bye-bye.
I don't think it would happen because, like, as much as I want to see The Rock win, he should not win.
Well, it seems more and more likely that the titles are going to be involved. I've seen rumors that The Rock could be winning the Rumble.
He shouldn't. Rock shouldn't. Rock
I think that would be horrible.
Cody should win. I think this is why I think it would go badly. I think Rock wouldn't be as hot right now if he won the Rumble. It's like when Batista came back and won the Rumble over Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, and it was like, we get who you are, but you're not, like, there's someone who's been here grinding, and we have a lot of respect for that person right now. Yeah. If Rock came back and won the Rumble over Cody, I think it would diminish from his popularity instantly.
Yeah, I don't know about that because he's The Rock, but I think it would hurt.
He is The Rock, but people want to see Cody win. No one wants to see. And also, it's like, it's not just the fact, like, it wasn't like previously it was like I said, with like, and obviously the popularity levels are completely different, astronomically, between Batista and The Rock. But no one wanted to see Batista come back in the main event of the show. They just want to see him come back. We want to see Rock versus Roman, but we don't want to see it for a title. No one wants to see it for a title. There's like 20% of people who want to see it for a title. The rest of us don't want to see it for a title because then we there's a possibility that he wins.
I don't think. Listen, I could see The Rock winning. I wouldn't even be upset if The Rock beat Roman. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I would, because then to me it would just be, again, like, decimating on this current generation and just ultimately going, we'll never be as good as the Attitude Era. We'll never, like, it's just the fact that I hate it. The fact that like Goldberg came back and beat top stars. Like, it's fine for The Rock to come back and beat everybody else in the WWE except for Roman Reigns. You do not beat the current top guy. You just don't, because then you are just saying that you who are not in your prime anymore can beat the current top guy. So that means that he was never even as good as you were in your prime. Stone Cold, yes, should have beaten Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is not our top guy, and he never was. He is one of our top guys, but Stone Cold was the top guy. So the top guy keeps coming back and beating anyone who is not the current top guy. It'd be like Hogan coming back and beating The Rock, or Hogan coming back and beating Austin. It's like, oh, I know you're doing your little thing right now, but remember who started this thing and who will forever be the guy. Like, the guy is supposed to constantly pass on, passing of the torch is supposed to be.
I guess Bill Goldberg never got that memo.
No, he didn't, unfortunately. Unfortunately, he did not.
Fucking Goldberg.
And that's and it's like, you have a 50-year-old man who looks like a 50-year-old man who's in shape, beating 30-something-year-olds who are at the top of their game. Insane. What?
Ridiculous. Well, you mentioned Kevin Owens, and that's where Monday Night Raw took us next. To get back there.
Yeah.
So the Bloodline came out. They were cutting a little promo. Not much. They were just bragging about how they won, basically, talking shit. And Jay was saying, thanking Sammy for stepping up the way he did. And then Kevin Owens comes out eventually. And, man, this hit. This promo hit. Kevin Owens came out flat as hell. Hardly any emotion. Very factual. Fact of the matter. A, B, C said, hey, man, I'm not mad at you for what you did at War Games. I would have done the same thing to you. Hell, I've done the same thing to you. And I'm not mad at you. But you're an idiot because you're not their family. And I'm speaking as Kevin Owens talking to Sami Zayn. Mm-hmm. They are not your family. You are not their blood. You never will be. No matter how much you do for them and how much they say that, that will never be true. But I'm happy for you, and I'm not mad at you. I am done with you. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be your tag team partner. I don't want to be your enemy. I want nothing to do with you. Kevin Owens looked Sami Zayn, his former best friend, in the face and said, "I'm not mad. I'm done." And that's a lot. That was a lot. And Sami was shook. You saw it on his face. I was like,
all felt that.
Yeah, well, I think we've all been there. Either we've been in Sammy's shoes or we've been in Kevin's shoes. Some of us might have been in both. Life is fucking weird. But that was very real. Like, sometimes you're just like, I'm not going to keep being mad at you for being what you are anymore. I'm just done. I'm not going to be a part of it anymore. And I think we've all been there. And this is another piece of really, really good storytelling. And Sami Zayn, who said this? The Undertaker. The Undertaker is popping over Sami Zayn right now. The Undertaker acknowledged how good Sami Zayn is right now. And he is the most interesting member of the bloodline right now. Roman, of course, is the top guy. He's Roman fucking Reigns. But Sami Zayn has added such a new dimension and a new breath of fresh air to the bloodline. And then Kevin Owens being involved. And it seems like we're headed directly towards Kevin and Roman at the Rumble because Kevin clapped the shit out of Roman. And now Roman's saying he's pissed off at Kevin Owens because he's hit him too hard. And he messed up his ear.
Yeah, this was a great promo, and I like the foreshadowing we got, too. I don't want to be your tag partner. It's like, I don't want to be your friend. I want to be a tag partner. Like, I guess we got it. You didn't want to be his friend. Why would you want to be his tag partner? They're foreshadowing that, it was such a good promo, and Sami is so good right now. And I'm here for this whole storyline. The only thing that bothers me with the storyline, and it doesn't bother me. This is possibly this is the best storyline in the past 10 years, if not more. Best storyline. My only thing so we all know where this is leading. So my only issue with this thing is where it's leading, is that it's such a good story that it needs to just be Sami and Kevin versus the Usos. But I also think if we do that for the tag titles, there's a lot of tag teams on the roster that don't get matches. Like, me personally, I would like to see, like, I don't know, like, I'd like to see them win, but I want to see other tag teams in that match because, like, then you just leave off, like, what do you do with the Street Profits? Like, I really like the Street Profits, and I think they deserve to be in the contention, and I think that they just been getting the shaft. Like,
yeah, I think we're done seeing the Street Profits and the Usos, though, for a while. I think they've run it. They've run it a lot lately. Before Montez got hurt, they were running that a lot.
Well, they were, and like we said, they should have. The Street Profits should have won, but now in hindsight, we're happy they didn't win.
Oh, I know.
But I think it's like, what do you do with them at WrestleMania now? Like, we're in a world that the only time you see tag teams is for the tag team titles. You don't see them have their own promotion, like whole storyline without it. So what would you do with those two? You can't have. They're such great performers that you can't not have them on the show. They're spectacles when you see them.
I think you could give. I don't know. You couldn't. You're right. I was gonna say I think you could give the Street Profits a non-title WrestleMania match, but I don't think you could.
I would love this. Like I said, I would love to see Usos, Sami and Kevin, Street Profits, and maybe even throw one more other team in there and have a 4-way tag match. And because you remember that 4-way tag match we had when Kevin and Seth were on the teams together on Raw? How much we said that should have been a WrestleMania match. It was so good.
Yeah, it was.
If we don't get Money in the Bank, throw them in a ladder match and let them make WrestleMania history, because those 4 teams are going to make WrestleMania history if they're in a ladder match. I mean, those 3 teams, and then whatever team you decide to throw in there as a 4th.
Put the Academy in there. Do me a favor.
I know you like. I would, if we don't see the return of Big E, I would obviously put the New Day in there because they've proven they can still go. I think they got one more great WrestleMania match left in them. But if we see the return of Big E, I think we obviously see a 6-man tag that we should have got last year.
Yeah.
Now it's actually a match that we all care about because Big E makes his return.
That would be good. Yeah. Well,
last year we would not have cared about that match. Now we do care because Big E made a return.
Yeah. And, going back to the tag team division, and speaking of the Street Profits, they are back.
Yes.
Montez Ford is out of the boot, and boy, does he look good. Oh, that frog splash he hit, they're always good, but we haven't seen him in a while, so it's very, very special. Very, very happy to see him back. Very, very happy to see him perform well. And you know who else looks good? One Mr. Angelo Dawkins.
He looks phenomenal.
You notice he's not wearing a shirt anymore?
Yeah, he's not wearing a shirt anymore. Oh, that's right. He's showing off some skin.
He's gotten in better shape. He put on muscle. Yeah, he's not wearing a shirt anymore. My man is feeling himself.
He looks great in the ring, and hopefully he starts to get the respect he deserves, because he's also very entertaining on the mic,
unfortunate
in the ring.
Yeah, I love Angelo Dawkins. If we said it before, he's gonna, unfortunately, I think, get the short end of the stick if Montez Ford goes solo. There's no time frame on that, and there's no even rumblings. It's just something that
I don't think they should. I mean, I just don't see Montez Ford as if you're not making him a world champion type guy, which I just don't see it happening with him.
Against Roman Reigns, no. But if Roman is out of the picture, I could see him beating a lot of top guys.
Yeah, I guess I can see that, but he's also here's the potential to become a great singles superstar or become one of the best tag teams of all time, because that's definitely in the cards if we can put some more title reigns on these guys. They haven't been managed right, but the potential's there.
The potential's there. You're right. I
think he has more of a shot at becoming one of the best tag teams of all time than becoming becoming a great WWE superstar.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's a really complicated situation, but it is good to see the Street Profits back. They in fact beat the Alpha Academy. They're always fun to watch. I did get to see Otis and Chad Gable when I was in Albany, which was nice.
I love Chad Gable. I love them both together. They're hilarious.
They work very well together, and you can tell they like working together. And it's that
they were friends before WWE.
Oh really? Oh, I'm wrestling background, right?
Yeah, they were roommates at the Olympic Training Center.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. But next in the show, Seth Rollins cut a little promo on Mr. Austin Theory. You texted me, and you liked the direction Seth's going, and I sat there after that promo, and I couldn't tell what the hell you were talking about. He didn't really take a direction, I felt.
To me, he's still that Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
But he's more of a, all right, kid, let me show you who the hell I am. That's what it was to me.
Okay, yeah.
All right. It was more of the chip on the shoulder type back, all right, yeah, you got that win, but now it's time for me to whip your ass.
A little bit more of the architect coming through.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna laugh. It was more of a, when you have to have a real serious conversation with someone as a teacher, or it's like, hey, we're buddy here, but when it's here, it's time to get serious. And right now, let's get serious. So we can laugh and joke on the way to the ring. I can sing and dance and do the woo. That's what I took out of that. And I was like, that's what I like.
I loved how Theory was about to talk. And Seth goes, shut up and listen to them sing. And everybody just sings this song. I was like, yes, dude. That was the ultimate, I don't care if you have the title, shut the fuck up. I'm Seth fucking Rollins.
Yeah. And then they pat on the cheek, and it was just like, yeah. He's sunning him.
Yeah, and he's like, all right, kid. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's maybe you see it now. That's the slightest minute pivot where it's like, all right, this is a guy who could beat Roman.
You're right.
He's starting to move back start to move back into that direction where it's like, oh, this is the guy who could beat Roman. He's slowly getting back to that.
Yeah,
And that
I
promo
get
was
what
just
you mean.
like the slightest pivot where it's like, oh, he's not just this guy who walks out and dances to the ring and wears fancy clothes. Like, this dude's a bad dude. This is a bad son of a, like, that's a bad dude up in there.
And I think we forgot that because he'd been losing so much. But let's not pretend like the matches he was losing in were not fucking brutal.
But yeah, the best way I can describe him is like, you know him, but like anyone who's from Landsberg would know this. My buddy Raekwon Ward.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to call him Magilla Gorilla. You know, he's a big guy. He's just like, you know, he's like every time he like, he always laugh. Like he got on the mat, that was a scary motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you were on the other side of the football from him, that's a scary motherfucker. It was like, hey, right, it was cool shit. And then on the middle of the mat, he knocked you out cold. Like I watched him knock out several guys out cold from like German suplexes on the wrestling mat.
I'm lucky I never wrestled.
You were laughing with him before the match started, but then you were getting carted out.
And then he would shake your hand and say sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so sorry, man.
Sorry, man.
Like that's what you know how wrestling is.
Hey, sometimes a blackout and throw people.
You know.
Sorry.
So that's what I see out of Seth Rollins, and that's what I like.
Yeah, I agree. And now that you mention it and describe that slight personality turn, you're right. And now that I think about it, it is interesting. And does he go straight after? I guess maybe that was my issue. It's not that I didn't see a change in character a little bit. I just don't know where he's gonna go. It doesn't make sense.
I don't think he's going for Roman, but I think we're slowly building him because here's the deal. Roman's probably going away for a little bit after WrestleMania.
Yes.
Cody needs a contender.
We're doing that again?
We might. I've heard that we're going to do Seth and Cody again before Mania. I've heard. Now here because you know Seth hurt Cody even more. I say so Cody returns and throws him out the Rumble, and that's the end of that. But regardless, I think we are slowly building Seth back. And regardless what you do with him, it's never a bad thing to just have a dangerous Seth Rollins around.
Oh no, it's good.
But yeah, like you know, it's like we're building Bobby up for like it's just good to have. The more dangerous people you have on your roster, the more it resembles an Attitude Era where you can say, "Oh, this is the greatest time to be a fucking wrestling fan." You got just savagery guys walking around. You got an animalistic Bobby Lashley walking around beating up people. You got a Seth Rollins who's just so good and technical and crafty that he could beat an animalistic Bobby Lashley and a God mode level Roman Reigns and a I don't even know how you describe Cody Rhodes, just the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. I guess the best way to describe him is just a fantastic Cody Rhodes who's hotter than ever right now. You got a guy who could come in there and just like let Cody Rhodes be the Jack card, or what do you call it, the Joker. Let you have Seth Rollins as a Joker, like you know he's either you know, or actually the way I like to put Seth Rollins as an ace. He can be a 1, or he can be he can be either a 1-pointer, or he can be an ultimate where he's more powerful than a king.
Yeah, I mean that's where he's at, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with all of that. But the rest of Monday Night Raw, nothing crazy. Dexter Lumis finally got a WWE contract. He beat The Miz. That whole story was fun. I thought it went on a little too long, but it was fun. And then they did a no-holds-barred match where Dexter Lumis ended up putting a C-clamp on his head. It was very weird. But then Dexter Lumis proceeded to give money out to fans that he got from The Miz, and then The Miz ran and stole the money from a child. So The Miz is doing exactly what The Miz does. Dexter's finally an official part of Monday Night Raw. And listen, I fucking hate The Miz, but I love The Miz. He's so good, man. He's so good at what he does, and the more I watch, the more I appreciate him. He's so very, very good. And the fact that every time I watch him, I'm like, God, this guy sucks. I can't stand him. The fact that he's made me feel that way his entire career, like, It's not hard to be a heel, but it's hard to be a heel. It's easier to be a heel than a baby face. It's easier to make people hate you than like you, but
yeah, he's very good. There's no denying it. The fact that he's a bane to our existence lets you know that he's doing his job great, and he's been that way since his inception, since the hoorah days.
That I'm glad we're past that. But
so he
what?
Yeah. He's great. He's good at his job. You know you're great when somebody who's so over on AEW, MJF was called a bootleg Miz. So you know that he's
MJF had some strong words on the Part of My Take podcast, which is a Barstool vehicle, if for those of you who don't know. He said, and I agree, that there are two performers, sports entertainers, wrestlers in the world that are the most over, those being Roman Reigns and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And I think that's true. Because I don't think there's anybody in wrestling besides Roman Reigns that get talked about more in a general public sense than MJF.
I don't know. I just don't see the hype in MJF. Like, his promos don't do it for me.
What? He has a silver tongue. He's so good, man.
I don't know, and I know I'm on an island by myself, but his promos just don't do it for me.
Oh
like,
God.
I liked his last promo where he was like, jolly old Saint Nick and my personal friend, Crips. And
I hope a con makes a bid, and you know I ain't talking about Tony. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that part, but the rest of the promo, like, I don't know. To me, it just feels like a guy who's trying too hard, is what I feel like.
I think that's his character, though. He's a guy that's trying to prove, that has too much to prove, that is just hyper cocky and wants to tell everybody exactly who he is. And I think he's an embodiment of the, what's the thing? Not blind, but like, the confidence that's seemingly coming out of nowhere, that you're just confident for no reason, based off of nothing. You just think you're the best and you become the best.
Well, with me, it's like, you know how when you hate a heel, you hate their guts. For me, and this could be the fact that I like heels. When he's out there talking, you know when you hate a heel, you don't feel like they're trying to make you hate them. I feel like he's trying to make me hate him.
I guess I know what you mean. I guess I know what you mean. I like it though. Like
no, I get it. To me, it doesn't go for me. Like every time I hear him on the mic, I'm like, I feel like you're trying to make me hate you. Like I see through you. Like it's like this isn't natural. Like I feel like a heel should just feel like a natural heel, and you're just like, this guy's just an asshole. Like
no, that's the thing though. It's like you think it's an act, but he never stops. He just keeps going. It's like, you're like, oh, you're just trying to make me hate you, and you're just saying these things. But he's literally an abrasive prick with every word he says is so grating. He ended a press conference after he beat Jon Moxley by saying, thank you, fuck you, bye, and limped off.
I know. You know what it is? I get it now. I genuinely like heels. The only heels that I don't like are the ones who steal, like the conniving edge type heels, or the Seth Rollins' first run where he had no business winning, but he's weaseled out a win, and then he.
That's why you didn't like Theory. That's why you didn't like Theory. That is why.
That's why what?
You didn't like Theory. That reason is why you didn't like Theory.
Yes. Yeah, see? That's who I don't like. Like, I generally just did not this dude. I didn't want to see him, but then, like, he was out there, I was like, all right, let's watch him get beat up a little bit. Like, I loved watching Bobby kill him.
Yes.
Like, I loved it. I was like, yes, Bobby beat him quickly, yes!
So you're telling me in 3 months, you're telling me in 3 months when Mox comes back, you're not going to love to watch him beat the fuck out of MJF? You're not going to love that?
No. I'm just gonna be happy to watch Moxley win. That's pretty much it.
I don't know. I think you might be a little happy MJF loses.
And that's
in the Burberry Championship.
I've always been weird. I think that's another thing. I've always been weird. I've always been happy to see my favorite wrestler win. It's very few times where I was happy to watch somebody lose.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, that's not true. I'm happy to watch people lose all the time, especially if I hate them. But I love MJF. I was happy he beat Mox, but I also want to watch Moxley win, but not for the reason
I do too, because I want to see Mox win because I want to see because the crowd was more for MJF there. I want to see Mox be over him.
I think he will be, obviously, but he needs to take some time off.
Yeah, well, he was just fighting with Hangman Adam Page. I know. I take some time off.
I know. But yeah, that was interesting. And then that Burberry title is such a heel move. It is such an ugly belt. Regal presents him this belt, and then he knocked him the fuck out.
I've heard so many people say how ugly it is. I like it.
You're so fucking weird.
And I was like, I guess I'm the only one on the island who likes this belt. I thought it was I was like, damn, that belt looks better.
I don't think it looks better, but I like it because it matches his shtick and it's his gimmick. I like that. I think it's ugly. I also don't like the AEW World title. I think it's ugly.
I don't, and that's probably why I said, I think it's better because I like.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
It all seems like the colors look good on it. I think the AEW belt is way too big.
It's so big, and then like the columns are weird, and then the middle is like this weird like oval thing.
It's like they were like, "Oh, I'll show you a big gold belt." It's like what it feels like.
Literally. Oh, you want big gold? I'll give you big gold. No, you didn't.
But all right, let's segue over to SmackDown.
Oh, the main event of Monday Night Raw: Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso. Good match. Kevin Owens overcomes the Bloodline and beats Jey.
Exactly what you would expect. Good match. You know? Hey, I love how Jey was like, main event, Jey Uso.
You got a problem with Sami Zayn? You got a problem with main event, Jey Uso. And then he took care of your ass. I need to get a KO t-shirt. I'm a big Kevin Owens fan.
I love KO. Let's see what his KO shirt looks like this year. For WrestleMania.
Oh, I know.
On SmackDown, I'm gonna give you the spark notes of the good stuff that happened on SmackDown. We've seen Sami Zayn versus Sheamus to start the show off. There was another segment in the ring. It was pretty cool. From what I came in late on this, but there was a segment in the ring. Then we got Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. I'm sorry, Sheamus, which was a good match. And then Sami Zayn beat Sheamus with an interference from Jey Uso. Jey Uso had cleared him clean with a super kick, like clean super kick into the jaw. Where I was like, ooh, knocked some teeth out there. Definitely. Clean. Good shit. And then we seen a backstage segment where Sheamus beat up Jey Uso and Jimmy with the shillelagh after Sammy and Solo left, and they were like, Sammy was supposed to leave by himself to get the car or whatever, and then they said, take Solo with you. And he was like, why? And they were like, well, you've developed some enemies lately, so we want to make sure you're all right. And he's like, all right, come on, Solo. So he left, and then Sheamus came and beat them up. And then there was a little conversation between Jimmy and Jay that were like, hey, you ever going to tell Sammy that you knew he lied to your face? And he was like, no, it's good. Roman said it was good, so we good. And Roman said he could tell when he looked him in his eyes. And I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, but we saw something at Survivor Series. Roman ain't buying it.
Mm. Yeah.
He ain't buying it.
I can't wait to see this story unroll. Unravel. And what's crazy is we don't have another show until the Royal Rumble in January 23rd or 8th.
I know.
It's
We're
crazy.
getting a 2-month build.
Kofi Kingston is the first person to declare his entrance into the Royal Rumble.
Nice.
We had a segment with Karrion Kross, which I thought was kind of funny, and he was like, "Who's going to be my next victim?" He goes, "I went through I went through Drew. I destroyed Madcap," and I was like, "But you ultimately lost against Drew." And I was in my head going, he cut a promo, which is a pretty good promo, but he made it seem like he's like, Drew McIntyre learned what it meant to be deal with me, and I was like, "But you lost that segment."
You mean that he learned that if he fucks with you, he can get you into a car accident and then impale you with a door? Is that what it means, Carrion?
And then beat you in a steel cage even when your girlfriend
maces him.
Cheat. But then he pulled a what do you call those things? Those cards that the like the psychics use. Tarot cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Showed his next victim.
Oh.
Which was Rey Mysterio.
Why?
I don't know. I thought that one was weird too, and I was like, Rey just got beat up by his son, so I was like, all right, well, whatever. He's gonna attack Rey Mysterio now. All right. So
I mean, I think that'll be a good matchup. Like, I like watching those two in the ring together, but like, why?
It's strange. Whatever. They don't know what to do with them. We've seen a little bit of Bray, but we've seen a little bit of Bray. We've seen a little bit of Uncle Howdy. Bray was like, he wasn't interested in Bray, but then he's seen later in the night. He's seen a promo of Uncle Howdy. He goes, "Who's that guy?" And I was like, "That's Uncle Howdy."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he's Bray, but you know. So
that's not Elias. That's Ezekiel
Gunther versus Kofi. And in the beginning of the match is exactly what you thought it would be, just a shellacking, and then just a shellacking, and it was just like, ooh. And then Braun came out, chased off Imperium, which was funny because they made it seem like oh, Gunther, we only got him because Imperium tricked Kofi. But from what I was watching, Imperium didn't need to trick Kofi. He was already getting his shit rocked and was about to lose the match anyway. So Gunther was about to close the match in under 2 minutes against Kofi. Then Braun came out, chased out Imperium, and then the match went on longer. They had a good match. Gunther introduced a new finisher, the something. I forget what it's called, but it's like a power slam, but then he drops him to his side. And I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was okay. It felt it ended almost anticlimactic. I felt like Gunther's clothesline is the most devastating thing I've seen in a long time. He should have kept the clothesline as the finisher.
Yeah.
Or the powerbomb, but he chose this finisher, so whatever. So we rock. But I do like what I like about Gunther's. Oh, it is Gunther. That's right.
Gunther.
He finishes matches with anything. We have seen him finish his matches with a variety of different moves. So we may be calling this his finisher, but he may finish the match with other moves. And I don't know what we're getting. We're either going to get, I will say, I think we're going to get either Gunther and Drew or Gunther and Braun at Mania. And I really hope it's Gunther and Drew.
I was just going to say, they seem to be teasing the Braun and Gunther thing a lot. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe they do that at the Rumble and save Drew.
A pit stop before Mania. Hopefully that's a pit stop before Mania because I'd much rather see Gunther and Drew.
You have 2 months. You have 2 months to do Braun and Gunther.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we got to.
Well, no,
I think
you don't because of the World Cup. You don't have 2 months.
Well, we do because in 2 weeks it's Ricochet. Oh, Ricochet beats Santos Escobar in a pretty good match.
I like Santos Escobar a lot.
I do too. I thought it was a good match. It was a pretty good match. It's not my style of match. I'm more of a Gunther versus Sheamus rather than a Ricochet and Santos Escobar type of match guy. But it was a good match. For people who do enjoy that style, you probably give it a 4 star. For me, I give it a 3-star match. I thought it was a good match. I find with those matches, there's always going to be a lot of waiting for the spot.
Yeah. Oh,
I'd rather see more punches and kicks in a match than flips and I'd rather see more punches and kicks than actual wrestling moves in a match.
I would too. I mean, that's part of the working, right?
Yeah, and selling it. So, but other than that, that's what closed out the show, and now it's going to be, which was actually surprising because I thought we were going to see a Gunther and Santos Escobar. I was surprised to see Ricochet won, and then I wasn't because then I realized that this is WWE, and anytime we do anything with a World Cup or anything, America always wins. I don't recall a time where anytime we had to do anything where we're promoting countries that America's ever lost. Anytime it's been anything America versus another country, America is always won. America does not lose in the WWE. So then it made sense to me. I also think Santos Escobar could survive this loss.
Oh, of course.
Ricochet,
he's so new.
I think because he's brand new. Ricochet is on a downward spiral, so this is the best thing he's got going for him because he was just like, he's almost. It's like you have your margin for error for Ricochet to salvage that character is so slim. It's not even funny.
No,
It's like
I
one
agree.
extra step in the wrong direction, and it's over.
Yeah. But before the World Cup, he was a certified jobber.
Yeah, pretty much. We had some women's matches. We had Shayna Baszler versus
Summer Rae?
was it that? It was
Emma.
Emma. That's right, Emma. Yes, Shayna Baszler versus Emma. Then she was beating up Emma. I think Emma won, and then Shayna continued to beat the shit out of her after, and then Shotzi came down, and then Shayna Baszler beat up Shotzi and Emma, and then and then
Raquel?
Yeah, and I think that's how that. And then somebody else. Oh, and then Raquel Gonzalez came out with a busted up elbow, and then Shayna was like, "All right, let's blow this popsicle stand," and just was like, "Oh, I'm not doing it. I'm leaving." She's like, "All right, I beat those two up. I'm not gonna beat up three of you. I'll see you later." And just
I've done my work. Away.
And then there was a thing about damage control, and then he got knocked.
Oh yeah, I saw she came back.
Yeah, she came back, which is funny because the news had just released that Damage Control was originally supposed to be Bayley, Tegan Knox, and Candice LeRae.
Really?
Yeah. So it's funny that Tegan Knox has returned. So that's out. Also, news out in the world. William Regal is making his way back to WWE. Supposedly, he had a contract that said that it was a 3-year contract unless Triple H would return to power, and then which he would be able to go back to WWE. Weird stipulation, huh?
That I was just about to say, that has to say something, right? That's weird. Why would he put that in a contract 3 years ago? If he didn't think that was
that was remember, he was fired last year. He had a 3-year contract.
Oh, that's right.
And Triple H had went out for his heart issues, and that's when he got fired. So I would like to see Samoa Joe go back, but he's doing so good in AEW. I'd like to see Samoa Joe.
He did a no-sell on a big spot again.
Huh?
Did you see that? He did a no-sell on a big spot again.
I love when he does that because it just makes sense. Like, why?
He's just like this fucking guy.
Yeah. Samoa Joe, in my opinion, is like there is no better talker right now than Samoa Joe.
I think you're right, but I think he's double champ right now. But
he's doing so good right now, and he's 43.
I was just gonna say his time to be serious in the WWE is over. This is a dream run for him in AEW. He would have never gotten this in WWE ever.
No, he's doing great stuff right now, and
ROH helps a lot.
It's best for him to stay where he's at. He's doing great stuff. He's about to feud with Wardlow.
He looks horrible, right now.
It's best for him to stay where he is, but I wish he was over in WWE because he's such a good talker.
I think he just went with Wardlow, didn't he?
If he did, it was on Friday.
Oh, okay.
But I know he was Wednesday. Wardlow was talking shit to him.
Wardlow's the modern day Batista, man.
He doesn't feel as big, but they're trying to. You see, they're trying to. At one point he was and then it fizzled out. He's still big, but I feel like he fizzled out.
I don't remember at the height of his TNT championship reign, he was massive.
Yeah, well, it was when he was with MJF.
Yes.
And that's the difference between Batista and every other muscle guy. It was
he didn't need somebody else?
Yes. He needed someone to make him, but then when he stepped out underneath the tyrannical reign of the big bad evil, he was still the animal.
Yeah.
Wardlow was we loved him as long as he was being... We loved him as long as we could hate MJF because we loved him because we hated MJF. That's what it came down to. Is when he stepped out, you're like, oh, this guy's still cool, but we really loved you because we hated MJF so much.
Yeah. And
so now we love MJF. You're on your own. We like you, but we're not going crazy over you
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Teddy. If it weren't for MJF, Jon Moxley, and the Acclaimed, and Swerve Strickland, I would not give a single damn about anything going on in AEW. Anything.
That's so for me. The Acclaimed, because everybody loves the Acclaimed. They are the modern day DX, and goddamn Billy Gunn is about to ride himself through 2 tag teams like that, like 2 legendary tag teams.
Unreal.
The Acclaimed, Jon Moxley, Samoa Joe.
Mm. He's mostly ROH now.
Yeah, well, he's the reason I've been watching their videos lately. But other than that, I do like Ricky Starks, but I only watch Ricky Starks because you know why I like Ricky Starks.
We've discussed.
Yes, that's it. Other than that, but I'm really not that into Ricky Starks as I'm into Ricky Starks.
Like it's, I know what you mean. Like, so who do I feel that way about? Right now, Alexa Bliss.
I like FTR. No, you're Alexa Bliss. Yeah, we've discussed that. Yeah, because what are they doing with Alexa Bliss right now?
They're teasing Bray Wyatt.
Yeah,
is all they're doing. I brought up Alexa. And
I like Swerve Strickland too. Actually, I'm sorry, I do like Swerve Strickland.
He's phenomenal.
He is so good, and it's sad to say. You know who needs him right now more than ever? Hit Row needs him.
They would be over the moon with Swerve Strickland.
And they need a heel turn. I don't know why they're still trying to make them faces. They need a heel turn.
They're not good guys. They're just not.
No.
But I want to see Asuka go back to the character she was in Japan. Like the crazy fucking So, do you remember the Great Muta? He was this Japanese wrestler, and he was this crazy guy and had this alter ego and was a murderer, psychopath kind of deal. In Asuka, when she was in Japan, I saw some of her old makeup. It was old creepy clown makeup and blackened eyes, red mouth, creepy serial killer murderer shit. And I'm yo, give me a crazy fucking Asuka just tearing apart the women's division. Get rid of Nikki Cross and give that role to Asuka. Oh my god.
But Asuka's been around for a while. They're not going to do it. And she's older. She's 43 too?
I forget she's older. I just love Asuka.
Asuka's probably got 3 years left and then she's gone.
She's probably done world titles. That's why I think that Money in the Bank was such a big deal for her 2 years ago.
I think Money in the Bank needs to come back to WrestleMania, especially for this year because you'll get a lot of people on the card. But I also don't want it on the card this year because I want to see a tag team ladder match. Listen, the way things are shaping up, I'm getting a ladder match. If I don't get a ladder match, I'd be surprised.
I think that is gonna happen, but yeah, we're at almost close to 2 hours. Holy shit, we really went through this one, chat. Golly. Anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I'm sure it's time to get me a glass of milk before bed. Almond milk, because lactose intolerant.
Yeah, Teddy was always a Kurt fan. He always listened. He drank his milk.
I do like Kurt. Kurt's awesome. Kurt's on my top 5.
That's another thing we'll have to talk. Well, that's another one we'll have to talk about another day because I almost just got going on that topic. But let's not do that because that's a whole other show in itself. But again, thank you guys so much if you're hanging out. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and hit subscribe. If you're watching Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. Subscribe on Twitch if you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But we appreciate you guys so much. We're going to keep rolling. We're going to see you next Saturday. Peace.